Welcome to Be Now for Tuesday, February 28th, the last day of the month. My name is Don McLeod, and as usual, joining me on the Tuesday broadcast is Fazal Khan. Faz, how is it going today?
I'm a little cold and my muscles are sore because of the first item I want to talk to you about on our agenda, which is snow.
Snow, yes.
So we're going to be talking about snow first.
Okay.
And then we're going to talk about what we promoted, which is what in the world, Don, is going on at the Peel District School Board in terms of our education system. I don't have any kids going there anymore, so I'm glad, because from what I'm hearing, I don't think I would want my kids there. So we got a lot to talk about there. And then let's talk about private healthcare and something new coming to Brampton that we're involved with. So stay tuned for that. But let's go back to snow, Don.
All right.
So last week, it snowed, and I was in my basement the whole day, and I came out at the end of the day, and I didn't realize how much it snowed. So I had to shovel my snow. And then apparently, I'm a nice guy, Don. I also do the snow for my father-in-law, but I couldn't get to it. So my wife decided she's going to call somebody. So she called somebody, and I'll show you. Oh, let me fix my screen first. I'll show you what I saw after they shoveled my father-in-law's snow.
Okay.
Here we go. Can you see that, Don?
Well, that's nice. Good job.
Yeah, so this is after. And so they actually sent a photograph of the finished driveway, but they took the photo from the sidewalk, so you couldn't see, this, what do you call that, Don? The snow windrow? The windrow?
Yeah, the windrows.
Windrows. Yeah. So I guess the $75 didn't include the sidewalk or the front, the city portion of the driveway. And you can see, I don't know if you can see the footsteps of the three guys that came to shovel the snow.
Three guys came and they charged $75 for that. How old were these guys?
I don't know. I wasn't there when they were there, but my father-in-law said, yeah, he saw them there. And then 5 minutes later, they were gone. He thought maybe they went for a coffee or something. So anyways, I had to go back and shovel it. So, I'm going to show you the after when I'm done. This is, here we go.
That's pretty pitiful. Yeah.
You see that? Can you see that? Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Too bad you can't shovel your snow that fast, huh? Let's do that again.
Well, even then, you should be able to see the black asphalt if you shovel it properly, Faz.
Well, so I actually brought another video to show you, Don.
Okay.
Let's see if I can. Let me take this one off.
Did you put down any salt at least?
That's bad for the environment, but aside from that,
you can put down sand. You can put down environmentally friendly.
So this is the snow shovel I was using, and I don't know if you remember this snow shovel, Don. But
yes, I have it.
Yeah, I got it for you for Christmas, right? It's kind of like the Remington shaving guy. If I could buy the company, I think I would buy the company.
Yeah, no, I've used it. It's good. There's no problem. It's especially today. It was that heavy, wet snow.
Yeah.
And it saves a little bit of wear and tear in the back. But if it's light snow, you don't really need it. But if it's heavy, wet snow, it helps. Yes.
But I've used that snow shovel so much, the metal edge of it, which you can see there, is worn off. And so that's why on my father-in-law's driveway, I carry around my own shovel. I don't use anybody else's. The metal edge is gone on my snow shovel, so that's why
you probably could replace it. You know that, eh?
Well, actually, I called them because it happened the first year. Let me go back to the screen. And there was a 1-year warranty, and they said, yeah, okay, and they sent me another one, and I still have it in the box.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, Snow Joe. If anybody, and I'm sure you can get it a little bit on sale now because the winter's almost done.
Well, put it this way.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you.
Yes. It's 20 days to the first day of spring.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, a week and a half ago, Don, we thought the winter was done. I think we had the conversation.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I thought so too. Yeah, but
and the city canceled the ice hockey rink contest. All sorts.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, actually, yeah, they canceled that because it wasn't cold enough. It looks like we're getting the weather now, but March 20th is the first day of spring, so that's something to look forward to.
Yeah, we're down to 3 weeks. 3 weeks, yeah.
Yeah, basically 3 weeks. Normally after St. Patty's Day on the 17th, like if you get one before or after, that's the time, and then after that, you're done.
I don't follow spring training in baseball, but I'm pretty sure they're probably going to start soon, right? Or
they're already playing. I think they played a couple of games already. The Jays are playing today against Detroit, I think, or something like that. So they're already playing in Dunedin or something like that. I don't know. wherever they
Yeah,
practice.
Dunedin. All right. Well, great. So in 3 weeks, done. It'll be spring, and we'll
And
celebrate.
you can put your shovel away, but next time put a little bit of salt on there so your father doesn't slip, because even though you shoveled, there's still it freezes at night and you can slip. That's why they invented salt. You know what I mean? You put the salt down, and it gives you a grip, sort of thing. All right.
Thanks, Don. Thanks. Okay. Next topic, the important topic of the day, which is our education system. And I'll let you lead this one off, Don.
Well, I don't have any kids in the educational system, but I know that yesterday on the agenda, Steve Paikin was talking to several people on the Peel District School Board about the We Rise Together program, the anti-Islamic program that they have going. What is it? Also, there's a whole different programs that the Peel District School Board is talking about.
All related to diversity, inclusion,
anti-discrimination, across several groups and so on and so forth. It's taking on, something that I'm not sure they are qualified to do. I'm not sure qualified is the right word, or falls within their mandate. I mean, it's something that a lot of people are looking at. The We Rise Together that launched, what was it, 4 years ago, I think, that we were talking about that. And they just
I'd say 5 at least, Don.
Yeah, and they reinstituted again 2.0. They were talking about, obviously, all ships rise with the tide. They're trying to bring everyone up to the same level. But I don't think that's what's happening. I think basically someone said it very good in that interview. They said we should, instead of teaching kids today about learning about the jobs of today, they should be learning about the jobs of the future and how to train them for jobs of the future, not for the jobs today, because the jobs today, they're basically transitioning. And and I know, nobody stays at a company for very long anymore. The days of my father working at a company for 36, 40 years, or even today, someone working at the same company for 10 or 15 years is unheard of. I mean, the younger people transition very, very fast from one job to the next, and they have no problem, right? The loyalty for them is basically the salary and what can I get out of it. And I think employers are taking a look at that and saying, we need to retain people, and we need to retain good people. And that seems to be across the board for any industry that you talk about, because I was involved, or still involved, with manufacturing sector. That's one of the big things, metal stamping and so on and so forth. Across the board, they can't find qualified people. And when they do find qualified people, they dictate what they want. It's like, oh, I don't want any overtime. I don't want this. I don't want this. I want this. I want this. So it becomes a situation that, in regards to the educational system, I mean, you have kids now that have went through the system. Do you think that they're prepared for the jobs of the future by going through the public school system?
Well, I'll be honest, Don. I went through the public school system. I'm glad I did. I went to university when tuition was $733 a term, engineering school. Now the price for that same engineering school, I think, is $8,000 a term, way beyond the increase in inflation. So I actually encouraged my son. I have a son and 2 daughters. He was thinking in grade 12 about going to engineering, and I know what an engineer has to do, and I know how hard it is in school, and I know what kind of jobs you get when you graduate, and how long it takes to get to kind of the elite level. And I actually said, I don't think you would be a good engineer, because you really have to have a passion for it to be a good anything, right? And I didn't see that. It was just, you're good in science and math. That doesn't mean you should become an engineer. And then when you do go to engineering school, they suck the creativity out of you, and it's all about math and physics and calculus. So there is a real disconnect between students, especially with boys, because the whole education system was based on 100 years ago, what we needed 100 years ago. It hasn't changed, and so we're forcing kids to sit on seats in classrooms, listen to a lecture from a teacher that has no relevance to the real world, and then to go get tested. So, from what I understand that's happening at the Peel District School Board and in the system in general in Ontario, is there seems to be instead of teaching to a higher level, we're teaching to the lowest level, right? We've stopped streaming in high school, which is
Yep.
good and bad, right? We want everybody to have options as long as they want to. But I think what that means is we have students in a specific class, whether it be math or science or English or whatever, who are a wide variety of skill levels. And what does the teacher have to do? Teach to the kind of the bottom, because everybody can relate to the bottom.
Right. And we talked about this over the years about basically when I went to school as well. I went through the public system. I went to university just like you at Concordia when the prices were not as high as they are now. But the system was geared in such a way that, you want to learn, right? I mean, I can count the amount of teachers that were really good teachers on one hand, right? All the way through to university. There was a history teacher that actually, was really passionate about it, and he was a great teacher, and he sort of guided me towards wanting to learn about history and major in history. But you can count the good teachers on one hand. I haven't met anyone who says, yeah, I remember all my teachers and they were all great. There's no way. But at the same time, you take a look at what they're teaching now, and it's, as you said before, when I grew up, it was, you'd have the special, the smart student classes. If they were above average, they were in a different classroom. You had the average person, the average class who, and then you had the remedial, what they call the remedial, where it wasn't special needs, but it was either the troublemakers or the kids that had trouble learning, and they were smaller classes and they were more individual. I think that, basically was a good system. I think a lot of people now look at it and say, oh no, we don't want to stigmatize them. Everyone's got to be in the same thing. But what you're doing is you're holding back those smart kids that want, and the creativity that you talked about, and giving them free reign to be able to do the stuff that they can. I mean, if you have a genius level and you're sitting in a classroom and the teacher is talking down to you and you know more than the teacher, I mean, your creativity is sucked out of it.
Especially when it comes to things like computer science, where you've got young people who you can really become proficient in developing in computer languages at an early age, more so than most teachers have the skill set.
Oh, absolutely, 100%.
Let alone, I've seen a lot of research being done now by high school students, in the STEM curriculum that is beyond, what I think you'd learn in a lot of universities, right? They're getting hands-on experience. So, for those students, and I'm not saying, there's like every student is good in something, right? So find out what those students are good in, find out what they're passionate in, and figure out how to get them to excel down that
Well,
path.
we used to have guidance counselors in schools. I don't know if they have guidance counselors in schools anymore, but we used to have guidance counselors. And the thing is, you'd have people that were not very good with math or whatever, and the teacher would say, or the guidance counselor would say, look, like your grades here indicate that you might be better at a trade than something else, right? And they used to guide them towards that. Nowadays, everyone is sucked into the thing that, you got to send the kids got to go to university. Not everyone needs to go to university, or they equipped to go to university.
Karen is saying there as well, right? There seems to be, we've stigmatized going to college when it's probably a great option for a lot of people, right?
Well, it is, I know, because some people are not equipped to handle university and the free flowing. When you go to university, here's a big transition that we always talk about, that, I went to school in Quebec, so we had CEGEP, and then we went to university. Nowadays, they go from they graduate and then they go into university. Well, the big difference in university is the professor is going to give you a course outlay. He's going to tell you the books to read, and then you're going to get tested on it. When you go into class, it's basically the professor or the associate professor talking about general terms about this and that and the next thing, but they don't go over the book. It's up to you to read the book. And most students in the first year of university, especially if you're a guy, because number one, you're out partying more than anything else, they find it tough because the onus is on you and you have to read and study. And I don't think that's being taught at the high school level these days. It's basically you get a free pass.
Well, and I've heard talk of not having exams. Like we went through that with my youngest daughter for the last 2-3 years while she was in high school, because exams were canceled and you couldn't have it in person, and then they became open book and then project based.
Yep.
You know what? Universities, every single course you've got to write exams. So if you don't know how to write an exam by the time you get to university, you're going to be your mental health is going to be affected because you're not going to be able to cope.
Well, here's the thing. When I went to university, we actually had a pen and paper and we had to write our answers. And we're talking about 25 pages of questions, writing the answers, and you might have to write 2 or 3 pages of an answer. Nowadays, I think they just bring in the computer. They can do it on the computer, right? So it's like,
no, I think there's still some writing involved done, but
hopefully there's writing involved. But I've seen some of the students writing, and it's terrible. The cursor, they bring back,
yeah.
First exams this year. Wow.
Like until you've sat in a school gym, not a school, a university gymnasium, which is typically 4 times, 4 basketball courts with lines of desks and a clock that's completely silent while people are writing exams. Until you've gone through that experience, you don't know what an exam is.
Exactly. And you know what, like it was funny because, you'd be cramming the night before till about 2, 3 in the morning, trying to ingest all this stuff into your brain before you hit the desk. But, I think there's let's hear from Councillor Peleschi, because he was talking about there was a delegation that was put at City Council just recently. I know you want to lead in with that, so go ahead and just give us a bit of background before.
So this was so there's a motion passed, I guess, at community council last week. It should be passed tomorrow at council meeting, where the city wants to collaborate a lot more with the Peel District School Board in terms of youth mental health, because there's a lot of issues. There's a lot of issues that is going to continue to kind of drag us all down economically if we don't address this issue. So. This is what Councillor Peleschi had to say during that discussion. Here we go.
Last year, I had to take my daughter out of the public system because they didn't have support, and I moved her into the Catholic system because they did. As of yesterday, I took my other daughter out of the public system, and I'll be moving her into the Catholic system because they have support. And I've been very public that I don't even know if the school boards should exist. And I think you've heard me say that before. And these are some of those reasons. When I hear Brampton Minor Lacrosse has a program that they want to bring to the public system free with an Indigenous component, they've gone to the school board. The school board says that they have to go to each individual schools, and then they go to the schools and say that you have to go to and get the okay from the school board. There's confusion. I hear a lot about our staff having good relationships with the school boards and trying to move things forward in terms of the asset side of things, but I also hear some of the difficulty and some of the challenges that we have. We 100% need a better relationship, but I also need to know where's the holdup? Why do I have to remove my children from the public system and put them into the Catholic system? Because I feel like they do have the support, especially for mental health. How can we, and I hope that this motion drives that direction to say that we're in this together. Mm-hmm. Whatever we can do to support each other for our children, we need to do. And I know what we're doing at the Community Safety Wellbeing Plan, I sit on it. I know what we're doing at the situation table, I sit on it. Mm-hmm. I want a better working relationship between the school boards and whatever support you need, and Carla, you need, so that we can make the change for the betterment of our kids. Then I'm here. I want to be able to help, and I think council will, supporting this motion, show that to you as well.
Okay, so Karen asks during the video, like, how can council dictate what school boards do? And I don't think I don't have the motion here. Otherwise, I'd show it to you.
They're not dictating. They're basically saying that, and Councillor Peleschi is not wrong, because we ran into this thing years ago where we wanted to do something in conjunction with the Peel District School Board, and we wanted to, we had something set up, and we were told, oh, you got to go to the schools and the principals, and exactly what Peleschi just said was happened to us. Oh no, you got to go to the school board. You're bouncing back and forth between these two idiots, and nobody knows what's going on. And
what happens is the students don't get the opportunity that I think a lot of us want to, like, help mentor, provide resources, provide.
Yeah, there's a lot of opportunities. Training. Yeah, absolutely. And we were willing to go into schools and talk about, social media content, this, that, and, there was a whole bunch of things that we were going to do. And there was no cost to it. And the school board is, they still want that tight rein where it's like, oh, we're the educators, we know what's best. No, that is not what you do. You're supposed to educate and make sure that they move on in life and give them the opportunities. And by you putting the brakes on anything that goes within that parameter is self-defeating, and it's not helping the kids in one way or another. There's no way.
Yeah, and there have been some changes at the Peel District School Board since we experienced that, especially on the communication side, because as a school board, they had a team of professional communication staff, and their whole goal was to make the Peel District School Board look good, right? Well, I guess so. That's where the tax money is going to. But though everybody's role at the Peel District School Board should be to empower students to succeed to their maximum potential, not to twist words around so your administration looks good.
Yeah, and I think over the years, I think the educational system in North America has suffered greatly. I think that if you take a look at the educational system in, let's say, Japan or China or even in Europe, I mean, it's like a 180 degrees. And here we have almost bullocks that are set up between the parents and what the parents want and what the school board wants. It's a situation that the school board always puts it, we're the educators, we know what's going on. But at the same time, kids are only in school for that. The parents are basically the ones who are raising these kids as well, or supposedly raising them. But teachers say, well, we're babysitters. Well, if you look at yourself as babysitters rather than educators, of course you're going to get that. And I've had bad teachers more than good teachers in my life. And I'm sure I'm not the exception to the rule.
But saying that, I don't want to blame any specific.
Well, we're not blaming, but you have to be
person,
critical, and you have to take criticism.
Because I know there are a lot of students. I used to be the chair of of Turner Fenton when my son was there, chair of the school council, and there were a lot of socioeconomic issues that had to be dealt with at the school. Like kids would come to school hungry. You can't learn when you're hungry, and that affects the entire class. And so the school has to deal with that somehow. Teachers would do their own fundraisers at Christmas time and they would collect gift cards and give it to specific students because they know the situation. So there are things like that unfortunately the schools and not all teachers are doing it because they probably just go home when the bell rings. But there are a lot of teachers that care about the success of their students.
Oh, they are, absolutely. But at the same time, I mean, the school board should be more transparent. What you mentioned before about the media and putting the spin on anything that negative comes out, that's not the role. The role there should be to be totally open and honest about what's going on in the school system and how to make the kids better. I know that your daughter goes to university in Vancouver. And Vancouver has a large Asian community. I mean, obviously it's something that, is inbred in them that basically you have to do well at school. This is, it's for the parents. I think in North America, the attitude is, I was, basically if I got bad grades, it wasn't good at home, that's for sure. But, but, you have to make sure. And it's planning. I mean, you got to understand that if you give someone a watered down education, you're not helping them in life. Yeah. You're not helping them go to the next step.
Well, and especially university, and I know, we have the issue here at the college level as well. There are a lot of foreign students that are coming that your kids will be in school with, and however they're paying it, they're paying 3, 4, 5 times as much as your kid, and they're coming here more prepared academically. So, those students are motivated to succeed. Your students, or the ones that are being educated here, with this, what I see, a lowering of the standard, are going to struggle in school. And I don't know how that's going to be worked out 5-10 years from now when it actually.
Well, mediocrity doesn't help anybody. It doesn't help anybody in the future. It doesn't help the person involved. It doesn't help. The one thing that was instilled with me when I was very young was read. Knowledge is everything, right? And it doesn't matter, like, as long as you understand the concept of learning. And the concept of learning is something that needs to be taught, because not everybody knows what that takes. Yeah. The discipline and everything else that goes with learning is, you can get in front of a class and teach the same. If you're teaching, let's say, North American history or early Canadian history, you've got your lesson plan set. You can just go through the motions. I know, because I've had teachers, even in university, I've had teachers that are just going through the motions and they're getting paid. And it's like, I didn't learn anything from that teacher. I had to actually go and learn stuff on myself because I was taught that way. But if you're not taught that way, you're missing a whole different world. So
Mary Ellen, we see your comment on. I'm going to put it on the screen.
put it on because it's a long thread. Yeah,
it's going to be hard to read on your mobile device if anybody's watching there.
When you applied college, it was a good decision. Yeah, confidence is everything too, right?
Yeah. So basically, yeah, involve parents. That's the number one key to student success, especially at the high school level, is parent engagement. We know that. Lots of studies show that. And clearly, Mary, you are involved and engaged. Unfortunately, a lot of parents are not, and they just rely on our school system. And you're going to fall through the cracks from my perspective.
So let's just take a look. I mean, I Googled, the jobs of the future. Basically, one of the, a couple of the jobs they were talking about is computer security, which is cybersecurity. That was one of the top jobs going on. Again, you have to have applied science in that. Data science, that was another one. AI. Here's a fun one, online teaching. That seems to be a job of the future. And you know what? I'm not surprised, because if you have someone who's teaching, and I've seen it before where they have these classes, what they call the master classes, right? So they have someone who's a top chef actually giving courses online, or someone who's an actor giving courses online, and they're niche marketing, right? These courses, right? You can go on, and even if you go online and you're trying to Google something on how to do something, say how to take a great photograph or something, there's millions of online video courses that you can get that are taught by professionals that give you a boiled down effect. Online teaching is something that, I think going forward, that might be sort of transitional into like a university or even,
or at least at the high school level.
Yeah.
Even like what, not mentoring, tutoring. Very specific tutoring. Like I saw how my kids, because they had access to the internet. You and I, Don, did not have access to the internet. So whatever your textbook had and whatever you wrote down from your notes, that's all you had. Now students can go to Google and chances are they'll find something. But there's always a very specific something that, you can't get your brain around. And I think, if there are experts online that can quickly help you get through that. And I think, those micro tutoring sessions are something I think have huge opportunity.
Oh, absolutely. Because I know I've used them as well in regards to the newer technology and what we're using in regards to, like what we're even doing now, right? It's something not everyone can do, but you take a look at it. But the other one is actually nurses, doctors and nurses, jobs of tomorrow. Aging population.
Assuming they're going to get paid what they're worth. Right?
Well, it doesn't mean they have to work in Ontario.
That's true. Yeah, that's very mobile professions, aren't they?
Well, don't forget. I mean, like I knew someone who was in the nursing profession, was a nurse. This is about 25, 30 years ago. And she got offered a job basically south of the border, double what she was making in Canada. And it was in US dollars at private clinic. And this has been going on for a lot of years. A lot of doctors and nurses have gone south.
Well, I have a family member who just retired as a nurse. It's not my sister, by the way. But she's taken these like 6-month stints across the country. So right now she's in Victoria, and she's doing and she's getting paid way more, and she's getting housing covered. And she's still relatively young, right? In her probably mid-60s now. What a great way to kind of wrap up your career by just having the ability to travel, right?
Yeah. No, it's so anyway, there's a whole bunch of different things, but yeah, education.
We will keep on the school board, though. I'm so glad that the city has decided to do what they're doing in terms of mental health for youth, because it really allows us to talk with the school board. Their budgets, by the way, are the Peel District School Board is bigger than the budget for the city of Brampton and for the city of Mississauga. And I could be wrong, but even combined, right, most of the budget for the Peel District School Board obviously goes into salary, so they don't have much flexibility on. But saying that, most of the budget for the schools also go into salary for staff too. So, there should be there should be more accountability. I know Councillor Pileshi said he doesn't understand the need for, his thought pattern is, why do we need school boards?
Right.
I think we need school trustees who have the teeth to make better decisions, especially when it comes to how the money is being spent.
Well, he didn't say school trustees. He said the school board itself,
True.
right?
True.
Because the trustees are supposed to be there to be the intermediary between the parents and the school board, and talk to them and be the transport of information between those two. I think the trustees do have a role to play. I think it's an important role, but at the same time, if they're not allowed to do what they're supposed to be doing by the school board, that's a big problem.
Okay, Don, we are over time and we still have another topic to go.
Oh,
so
okay.
Unfortunately,
let's make it quick.
we're gonna so there's a lot of talk in the news, Don, about private healthcare, the privatization of our healthcare system in Ontario. You have any comments about what's going on with what Doug Ford?
Well, that could cover a whole different field, but we'll have to take that forward. We'll do another segment on that because it's something that's happening. It seems to be cropping up all over the place, but there are tests and stuff that you did have to pay for before. If you were male, you had to get a colon screen that costs you money. That wasn't covered by OHIP. I think if you have to do a hearing test, I think that's not covered by OHIP. There are certain tests that are not covered by OHIP and have never been. So I think the big problem is if you can skip the line and go through surgery, or if they're using hospital surgery areas or whatever, doing surgery in hospitals because the hospital are closed down because they don't have enough staff to do those surgeries. So we'll save that topic for another day because it is a little bit murky at this point in time, and we'll see what happens with the federal transfer funds that Trudeau has promised to the provinces going forward.
So one of the topics I didn't want to talk about, and thanks, Victor, for that comment. Healthybrampton.ca. So that is an initiative that Brampton Focus, which is we both volunteer as on the organization. So if you recall, a couple of years ago, we won a national competition. There was 20 people who won, but a lot of people applied. But we won to promote something called We Got the Shot, and that's when there was a lot of vaccine hesitancy in across the country, and so the federal government had an initiative to figure out innovative ways to promote vaccination. So they have another one now, but this time it's for the booster shot, and so we won again. And so the way we're going to do that. And I have not gotten my booster. I know, Don, you are not fully up to date on your booster. So it's not as if we are, fully immunized. So the challenge is, and this is a federal government public health challenge, how do we get more of the population fully immunized?
Well, it's not only that, but it's the younger people, right? I mean, we're talking a certain age group.
Youth. There's a lot of young people in K-12 who are not vaccinated. And it continues to be a burden on our healthcare system. We still have people dying from COVID. So instead of kind of force feeding like we did with We Got the Shot, kind of embarrassing people who haven't gotten the shot, we really want to get down to just putting the messaging out there in a way that it's consumable. So we want to start talking about healthcare issues. We want to talk about the third hospital in Brampton. We want to talk about the second hospital in Brampton. And in so doing, we also want to promote the booster shots. So you'll see on the website, we've got lots of plans. We've got like 3 or 4 months to get this done because it is a competition. We didn't win the last competition. A doctors group won the last competition, which to me is unfair, right? If you have a group of doctors promoting vaccine, well, that's unfair to people who aren't doctors, and doctors are already getting paid to give people a shot. So, we had some beefs about how they selected the other group. So this time, our goal is not to win the competition, but it would be nice.
Our goal is what it was before when we did We Got the Shot. It's something that, like we believe in. I mean, I believe in vaccines. I mean, when I grew up, I had the polio, we had the mumps, the measles, the polio shot. Vaccines work, right? Despite all these idiots that say it doesn't work, it does work. That's the whole point of a vaccine. If you go back to the 1500s, there were no vaccines. The Black Death in the 1400s,
Well, and our goal at this point
vaccines
is not,
work, I'm sure.
our goal is not to convince people who don't believe in vaccines to get vaccinated. It's to get people like us who are not fully vaccinated. Well, what's holding you back? And I think we've all gotten a little lazy and complacent.
And the thing is, going forward, we're going to talk about, as you said, healthy options for Brampton, because obviously in Brampton and Camille, is it Camille Care or Sonia Sadu? I think Sonia Sadu was leading that at the federal level, the MP, talking about the high rate of diabetes, and active transportation is something. I know that the city has proposed more bike lanes throughout the city. I still don't like the bike lanes just painted. If you go to any European city, they're protected bike lanes, right? You're not going to get.
Don, I know you got a press release today, because I got it as well, from a real estate company who ranks the 400 neighborhoods in the GTA.
Okay.
And in Peel region, guess which neighborhood was deemed the most the neighborhood with the highest active lifestyle?
I don't know.
Downtown Brampton.
Well, yeah, because it's walkable, right?
It's walkable. There's transit nearby. I guess there's little shops and things.
Right?
I haven't read it in detail, but that was quite interesting. There's a lot more work being planned for downtown Brampton, so that's very interesting, and I think it shows the work that's already been done. And to me, if we get the LRT going up to the Brampton Go, that it'd be. And I think, from a real estate perspective, what they were saying was the housing there is actually much lower than the rest of the Peel region. So it's a good opportunity, right? If you look at what's planned there.
We talked about that before in the downtown intensification along Queen Street as well. So, everyone knows that basically, if you're in a highly densified area with shops and this and that and everything else that are walkable, it's the big thing now. It's the 15-minute city. Somehow in North America, this is some sort of game changer, where in the European cities, it's been happening for close to 50, 60 years. They've been transitioning. Barcelona transitioned.
Well, they were probably all 15-minute cities before the invention of the car, right?
Well, exactly, right? I mean, they had horses then too, right? But they had trains, right? But anyway, we'll cover the healthcare and Healthy Brampton going forward, because that's something that you said, it's an initiative that we've taken up. So it's going to take our time as well going forward. But I think we've covered as much as we can. We don't want to bore people to death, right, with your snow job.
My Snow Joe. It's a Snow Joe. I should get an Amazon link and make $1 every time somebody buys one.
Anyway, we'll see everyone next Tuesday. What is that? What's that going to be?
March
the 7th, right? March the 7th, I think. Yeah, next Tuesday, March the 7th.
Yeah, next Tuesday, March. The first Tuesday of March. Exactly.
So we'll be all ready into March, and like I said, March 20th is the first day of spring. So for those who look out the window and see snow, it's not that far behind. So good luck, and until we see you next week on March the 7th. Thanks for joining us.
Bye-bye, everybody.